Okay, hi everybody, welcome back to Decker's Nursery. It's been a month or so since I've done any of the videos, and we're about a week away from Thanksgiving. And that's important because we're in a time frame where all of our plants are going dormant. So you may have seen the discoloration on your arborvitaes and pine trees. So that's all been completed. The trees are going to rest, or all the shrubs and trees are going to rest for the winter, and then come March, depending on temperatures, they'll come out and start working again. So the reason I mention that is this is an ideal time to be pruning in your landscape. And I enjoy pruning. I like getting outside. I dress properly. I wear a nice sweatshirt, and I make sure I'm comfortable. And then I just get to work with the plants for as long as I want or as little as I want. But when I started doing it this past weekend, I thought it might be a great opportunity to share proper pruning with all of you, okay? So one of the biggest mistakes I see in landscapes is how the plants are being pruned, okay? I've seen plants get pruned improperly for years, for decades, and it eventually kills them. So most of you are familiar with like head shears, right? So if you were pruning this autoleucon laurel with shears, it's the same as just going through and cutting every single branch at the end of that, what they call the meristematic tissue. And that's very damaging to the plant. It causes a lot of injuries, and the plant has to work extra hard to heal itself. And what I see most often is it causes a broom effect out at the end. So shearing is not proper pruning. What I'm going to work on for the next several videos is to show you the proper way to prune. And I believe if you learn how to thin a plant properly, you can achieve all the same objectives as if you were shearing. You'll be able to reduce the size of the plants, and it'll be much healthier because of it. You're going to open the plant up so that you have better sunlight getting into the center. You're going to have better air circulation, and that's effective. It's a cultural way to reduce insects and diseases. So, proper pruning takes years to learn, okay? But I'm going to give you some basics today on thinning plants. And we're going to work with autoleucon or cherry laurels and skip laurels. These are two very popular plants in every landscape. And they get sheared very often, and it disfigures them, and it shortens their life. And what I see is they end up getting removed and replaced very often. So both of these plants are vulnerable to foliar diseases. So if you get a close-up on this mat, you'll see some of the foliage has blemishes or pockholes and marks, and that is from a fungus that doesn't hurt the plant, but aesthetically disfigures it. So both plants can get this fungus. So the best way to reduce that is not to water them, overhead watering, and to thin those plants, okay? So let's get into it. And remember, you're gonna have to get out there, you're going to make some mistakes, but if you follow the basic tips, you're gonna be successful. And what you're gonna find is you learn how the plants grow, okay? So we talked about thinning versus shearing. Shearing is what they call a heading cut, where you just go through and inadvertently make a cut. Thinning means you're going down inside of the plant, and what you're trying to determine is, so you're going to try and make this plant smaller, okay, so that it doesn't become overgrown, and get that open canopy for sunlight and air circulation. So if I look at this plant, what I'm looking for are the oldest tissue, the thickest tissue. And right in the center, I can see a very large cut to start with. So I'm going to cut back to a lateral branch. So that's called lateral pruning. And right now, with that cut I made, that branch is still intact. The plant will be able to heal itself very readily because I left a part of it, okay? Now, when I make a cut on this side, I'd like to go to the opposite side. And again, I'm going to reach down inside the plant. Very hard to get with the camera. But this branch right here is going to come out, okay? So, and I work in a circular pattern around the plant, okay? So what I'm looking to do is go back to a lateral branch. You see how the stem continues to bifurcate or split. And when you're making the first cuts, try to start out at the end. Don't go all the way back inside like I did until you get more comfortable with it. So I made a cut there, but that really didn't achieve what I was looking to do. So I'm going to make another cut there, and I want to make one more cut and then show you it really doesn't change the character of the plant at all right? But you can see where it's opened up quite a bit. And this may be uncomfortable for you because you're not used to seeing it, but just those 4 cuts have been very beneficial for this plant. Now I'm going to keep going because, well, because I have to, but there's another cut on the back side. Now, if you notice, I'm going to go all the way down inside here. Okay, and you'll start to develop an eye so that the canopy is consistent. And again, it takes years for me to teach somebody how to do this. You're not going to get it on the first plant, but as you go in, you really can't make a mistake as long as you just remember to cut at a lateral branch. If, let's say, you make an improper cut, the plant will recover. Okay, so in the spring, as the plant comes out of dormancy, this pruning cut will begin to callus over so that it doesn't get decay, so that insects don't get into it, and this is how they take care of themselves. So you want to make the cut as small as possible. So I'm right at the lateral. So if you make a perpendicular cut, that's going to leave you with the smallest surface area. So the smaller the surface area, the easier it is for the plant to recover. While we have the camera up close, I want to show you, like, here's another cut I'm able to make right here. So not every cut has to be at the bottom. I do that because it makes the biggest difference to start with. But that's after doing it for 30 years, so it's a lot easier for me to know where to cut. So anyway, you can see how this plant looks slightly different. Its character is the same, and on my next video I'm going to show you how to use thinning to reduce the size of the plant, and we're going to talk more about the skip laurel. So these plants are related. The skip laurel and the cherry laurel are related genetically. They're both in the cherry family, Most of you probably have them, or you see them very often at friends and neighbors' homes. But I'm going to show you how to reduce the size of the skipped laurels. And every plant has its own characteristics. But once you learn how to make a proper thinning cut, you can use those same principles on every single plant, whether it's an evergreen or a deciduous plant. So stay tuned. I'm going to get you pruning and feeling really comfortable, and we're going to change the way we begin to take care of our plants, okay? I look forward to seeing you in the garden.